Hey, how we doing out there today? Alright, people. So, it's time for my Week 5 NFL picks. I'm trying to get all the weeks in here this time, so there should be 18 picks this year. Last week, I just did the math on it. I recounted over the picks. We went 10-6 last week in our picks, so actually probably one of our better weeks thus far. That being said, we are 39 and 32 on the season, so that's pretty good as well. But not bad. Seven games ahead in terms of wins and losses for my picks. But let's get into this week's picks. We got a lot of good games this week, it looks like, so this should be challenging. The first game that I'm picking this week, happening tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, is the Rams and the Seahawks. Now, this is an interesting game. I think that based off what I've seen thus far this year, I believe that the Rams will win this game. The Rams lost against the Falcons last week. I think divisional games are going to be hard for every single team in this division, but the Seahawks are just not that great in terms of like a total collective team. Obviously Russell Wilson is fantastic, but the Seahawks over the past few years have been that. They've kind of been like that team that has Russell Wilson, and that's why they're good. The Rams are a more complete team overall, so I think they should be able to win this game. I'm going to say 35-28. The Rams get the dub. The Jets and the Falcons. So, both pretty bad teams. The Jets won last week against the Titans, telling me that they can win games against decent teams. I don't even know if the Titans are that decent, but they are better. Even though the Jets won against them last week, I think the Titans overall are going to do better than they will this season, and I'm pretty sure everybody believes that. To be safe, I'll go with the Falcons on this game. I feel like, what happened last week with the Titans probably won't happen again with the Falcons. The Falcons find ways to blow low leads every single week, so it might happen again this week, but I don't think it's going to happen against the Jets. Matt Ryan should pick apart that defense pretty easily. I'll say it's going to be like 42 to 28. Falcons get the dub. Patriots, Texans. So the Patriots should be able to win this. David Mills looked horrible last week. I don't know when Tyrod is coming back, but even so, the Patriots should be able to win this to get their second win of the season. The Patriots had a tough game last week where they had to play against the Buccaneers, and they still almost came away with the victory. I think the Patriots will probably win this game. I'll say 24 to 10. Give the Texans some leeway. I don't think the Patriots are that good, but I still think they could win this game like 24 to 10 or something like that. Lions, Vikings. The more that I see things come out of both of these teams, the more I realize that they're both bad. But I think the Vikings are going to win this game. Hey, look, I'm just going to say it how it is. The Vikings are a better overall team than the Lions. I thought the Lions might have a chance to get their first win last week, and that didn't happen. Who'd they play last week? Why did I predict them? Oh, yeah, they played the Bears. That's why. They played the Bears, and the Bears just looked awful the week beforehand. But I think the Vikings are a better team than the Lions here. And I think they get this one. It's going to be a close game because it's a divisional game, and the Lions always play their opponents pretty close and have this entire season. Except for last week, they played very badly against the Bears. Yeah, well, it's only a 10-point loss. It's not that bad. I think it's probably going to be a similar game for the Vikings. I'll say it's going to be a 17-3 victory for the Vikings. I don't really expect it to be a high-scoring game. Don't really expect it to be anything special, just a typical Lions-Vikings game that no one really cares about. The Panthers versus the Eagles. Let's see. I mean, no CMC. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the upset here. I'm gonna pick the Eagles, and the reason I'm gonna pick the Eagles is because my gut is telling me to. My head originally says pick the Panthers. They're a better team, whatnot. But I'm gonna pick the Eagles, and that's because I believe, with their talent, the Eagles are a talented team. They just don't have what I would like to call the it factor, where they can figure out exactly what they need to do in every situation. They don't know exactly what they need to do to finish games. They played really well against Kansas City last week, and if it weren't for one called back touchdown, they probably would have only lost the game by like 10 points instead of what they actually lost it by. And I mean, yeah, they scored 30 against Kansas City last week. So, a 42-30 loss to Kansas City is nothing to really be ashamed of. So I think the Panthers lost last week too, 36-28 against a team that's worse than that's worse than the Chiefs. So, at least offensively. I mean, I think the Chiefs have the best offense in the league, but the Cowboys are pretty close too. That being said, the Eagles' defense is still a little bit suspect. The Panthers' defense is probably better, but I could see the Eagles pulling off a win here, like 27-24. It's gonna be a close game regardless. Saints versus Washington. Again, the Saints are the hardest team to predict in the NFL, and Washington is a hard team to predict as well. But I feel like I'm going to have to go Washington on this one, just because Tyler Heineke has really come out as being a good player. And I think he's a really good quarterback, too. Well, obviously. And then I just like Washington's consistency more than I do the Saints, right? We don't know what kind of team the Saints are going to put on the field. Not to mention, they lost to the Giants last week. That's pretty freaking bad. Like, you can't just lose to the Giants and then play Washington and expect to just go ahead and win, I think it's going to be close. Washington won against Atlanta last week in a very interesting game. Atlanta at one point had like an 8-point lead or something, and then with like only a couple minutes left in the fourth, and Washington still came back to win that game. So I think that says more about Atlanta than it does Washington, but no, Washington has a decent football team, right? They're both these teams are one of those teams where you can't really count them out because they have a lot of things that work for them. And I think it's going to be a close game because of that. I'll say Washington wins 27-24. I feel like that'd be fair. Jaguars-Titans. Honestly, if the Titans lose to the Jaguars, I think they're going to have to reevaluate their entire approach to what they're trying to do this season, because then you will have lost to the Jets and the Jaguars in back-to-back weeks. The Jags are due for a win, but, I mean, at the same time, I feel like the safe pick is the Titans, right? But maybe it's not, given what the Titans have given us this season, and the Jags have given the Titans trouble over the years. Trevor Lawrence is also getting better with every single game. And I think, looking at the record for the Jaguars is not how we're going to have to evaluate Trevor Lawrence, right? A lot of quarterbacks are evaluated by how their team performs, and that might be unfair. But I think you got to look at Trevor Lawrence's stats this year. because his team is just not going to do it. That defense is really bad. He doesn't have like a decent amount of weapons. Like nothing about the Jags is good besides maybe their quarterback, and that's about. And Trevor Lawrence is at best right now an average quarterback in the NFL, but that's fine. Right? It's not about him. It's about the Jags, and the Jags have a lot of issues. I think the Titans will win this game. I'm gonna go ahead and say 30 to 24. The Titans win this game. The Jags always find some way to lose, right? Dolphins Buccaneers. Last year I would have picked the Dolphins here, but this year I'm gonna have to. Well, actually, no. The Dolphins have looked too bad this year to beat the Buccaneers. I think I'm gonna have to pick the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a little bit banged up right now, but I think right now the Buccaneers are definitely still a better team. I think they only win this like 24-20 or something like that. I think it's going to be a closer game than people expect, but I think that the Buccaneers actually do get out with the W. Packers versus Bengals. So the last few weeks I've picked the Bengals and I've done so correctly. This time I'm going to pick against the Bengals because I don't think that they're a good enough team to keep up with a team like the Packers just yet. I like the Bengals a lot and what they've been able to do this season. Even as a Ravens fan, they've impressed me a lot. I think they're going on the right track to becoming a really good team. I just don't know that they're going to be able to compete against great competition like Aaron Rodgers and whatnot yet. I love Joe Burrow. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But I just don't know that they're going to be able to get it done against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Like, that just, to me, seems like a long shot. I'm going to say the Packers win this game 32-27. I think it's going to be a close game. I like the Bengals' offense. I think they're going to give a ton of points on defense because that defense is not good enough to stop offense like the Packers have. The Packers are, as long as they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, going to have an elite offense, and that's just how it is. Broncos Steelers, actually a very intriguing game, although Drew Lock is out, so not Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater is out with a concussion. Last week the Broncos got a little bit exposed. I don't think the Steelers' offense is as good as the Ravens' offense, to be honest, and I actually can't believe I'm saying that, but I don't think it is. Ben Roethlisberger probably just needs to retire. I don't know what's going on with the Steelers. This year they look really bad, but it's hard to pick against either one of these teams because I feel like they both counter each other so well. I'm actually, in my gut, though, thinking that I should go with the Broncos here. And the reason, but it's Drew Lock, though, right? It's Drew Lock, so maybe not. It's so tough. It's so tough, man, but the Steelers have looked so bad this year. I'm going to go with the Broncos, even though it's Drew Lock and they might not win because of that. But the Steelers' defense has not looked good since T.J. Watt was injured. And I don't think he's back yet, so I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I think they pick up their fourth win on the season, get a bounce back win from losing to the Ravens last week, and it's gonna be a close game, right? Drew Lock last year threw 16 touchdowns, so that was a touchdown per game. He did not throw a touchdown last week, but he threw an interception. That being said, I do believe the Broncos will score a couple touchdowns against the Steelers. And honestly, I think if they can score like 17 to 24 points, they'll win the game. I'm going to say they win the game 24-17, actually. Broncos will win that one. Bears, Raiders. That's an easy pick. Okay, listen, Justin Fields is maybe not necessarily 100% ready to play in the NFL, and I think that's shown up already. Yes, they won last week, but they played the Lions, right? It shouldn't be that hard to beat the Lions. The Lions are one of two teams, I believe, that have an 0-4. Yeah, the Lions and Jaguars are the two teams that are 0-4 this season. And there's only one undefeated team left, and we're not talking about them right now. But I think I gotta go with the Raiders on this one. Overall, just a better team, way better offense. Defense is decent enough to stop a team like the Bears pretty well. I think Justin Fields is gonna eat dirt a few times in that game. I think it's gonna be a tough game for the Bears. I don't realistically see them putting up a whole lot of points. That being said, it is the Raiders' defense, and they usually give up a decent amount of points. But it's the Raiders' offense, and they score a lot of points. I'm going to go ahead and say the Raiders win this game 35-28. 35-28. Raiders get the dub. Browns-Chargers, also a really good game. I think the Chargers will win this one, though. Baker looked shaky against the Vikings last week. Yes, they won because the Browns' defense was excellent. The Browns definitely have one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league, and I think that helps them out a lot. But I gotta go with the Chargers on this one because of what they've been doing recently. You know, you look at the Chargers, I think they're just a slightly better team than the Browns are. There's not really a knock on the Browns, right? I think that's more of like I believe in the Chargers. I honestly got Justin Herbert on my fantasy team, so the Chargers doing well is actually a good thing for me as well too. So I'll be rooting for them too because I'm a Ravens fan, and it'd be nice to see the Browns take an L, especially with what they've been able to do over the last few seasons. But yeah, I think the Chargers probably win this game. It's gonna be close though. I'll say it's gonna maybe even like 33 to like 30. I could see that being a thing. Cowboys versus the Giants. Now this is a divisional game, which makes it interesting. The Giants actually got a surprise win last week. Daniel Jones is always, people knock him a lot, but he's not that bad. That being said, I think the Cowboys win this game. The Cowboys are weird to me, though. Like, they will be able to put up 30 points one week and be cooking, and then the next week they'll put up like 20 or something, whatever. And it's like, yes, they have scored more than 30 points in 3 out of 4 of their games, but they're still a weird team to me. The way they play is weird, and the Giants are a weird team too. I think this game actually has the potential to be kind of closer than people think. That being said, I still think the Cowboys are going to win. I think it's probably going to be like more like a 30 to 20 type game, which is a 10-point win for the Cowboys, what I predict, but it could be even closer than that. You never know. San Francisco versus the Arizona Cardinals. Well, Trey Lance gets his first start because Jimmy Garoppolo got injured again, apparently, so this will be Trey Lance's actual first start in the NFL. I think the Cardinals should win this game. The Cardinals have been proving time and time again they are the far superior team to basically any team in the NFL right now. The Cardinals are definitely the best team in the NFL right now, and they've proved that. They've won tight games against tough competition. Last week they beat the Rams, and the Rams beat the Buccaneers before that, and so you look at a team that's been able to beat everybody they've played against so far, and I think the Rams are a better team than the Niners. Divisional game, so it'll be close. I think the Niners are a very talented team. So again, like I said, it'll be close, especially since the Cardinals' defense is a little bit suspect, even for a team as good as they are. I think that the Cardinals will still win this game, though. I think they stay undefeated. I think they win it like 27-24. I think it's gonna be close. Chiefs Bills, excellent game by the way. This is like, you want to talk about two teams that are really, really, really good and have a lot of strengths. And here's the thing though, a lot of people are probably gonna pick the Bills this week because what they've done so far. But I actually want to look at who the Bills have played. Right, so they've played. And ironically, they've given the Steelers their only victory of the season, right? Then they played the Dolphins, who we know are kind of pretenders now, right? And then they played Washington and the Texans. People are giving the Bills way too much credit. I'm going to say that. People are giving the Bills way too much credit. You look at who they've played this season, right? I mean, this is not a knock on the Bills. You can only play who's on your schedule. But you look at this schedule, man. And I mean, come on. There's not a single winning team on that entire schedule. And they lost to the Steelers. Look. I know you've blown out two teams and won those games. They've blown out basically every team, but they've played but the Steelers this season and pitched to two shutouts. And your defense is good, but come on, man. Really? Really? We're impressed by this? By this? Come on now. It was the Dolphins of Tua, too. Oh, man. Jacoby Brissett is better than Tua, by the way. I don't have any faith in Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's one of the worst quarterbacks to be drafted over the past few years. And it's shown, over the past few games he's played. He's a bust. He's a complete bust for the Dolphins, right? Like, this is just classic, right? That being said, you could say, but the Chiefs haven't looked that good either. They're 2-2. I think the Chiefs win this game, okay? I'm going to say it. I think the Chiefs are going to win. And the reason I think the Chiefs are going to win is because I think they're the better team right now. They are, honestly. Josh Allen has never beaten Patrick Mahomes, which, by the way, no one talks about because, people wanted to focus on the fact that Lamar Jackson had never beaten Patrick Mahomes. Everybody wanted to talk about that, but nobody talked about Josh Allen. Right? Exactly. So, I think the Chiefs win. I think it's going to be close. It'll be close, but I think the Chiefs win. I think they win like 42-36 or something like that. Yeah. Gonna be a good game, though. Good thing it's on Sunday night. Colts Ravens. The Ravens are gonna win that game. The Ravens will win this game. It's basically the exact same game they played last week. I mean, it's against a different team, but it's basically the same thing. Like, as long as they do what they did against the Broncos, they'll win against the Colts. The Colts are a bad team. They're probably worse than the Broncos. The Broncos actually win against bad teams. The Colts don't win against bad teams, and they haven't played anybody that's that great this year. They really haven't. Like, okay, yeah, they played the Seahawks. Okay, the Seahawks, like I said, are not even that good. Except for the fact that, they have, they played a close game against the Rams there, actually. But here's the thing about that, though, is that, teams that are, the Colts have talent, but it's more like, where does their talent actually lie? If you look at the Colts, they score points every game, right? It's not like they don't score points. It's more, their games are interesting, but they find ways to lose every time. And it's because their quarterback is named Carson Wentz, except for last week where they beat the Dolphins. But the Dolphins have been underperforming this year. The Dolphins were expected to be a good team this year, and they're just not. They're just not, okay? They're just bad. But, Yeah, I mean, you look at them versus teams that, are expected to beat them, they lose. You look at them versus teams that maybe are not expected to beat them, they have a chance to win. And the Ravens are basically just expected to beat them on Monday night. So, the Ravens are probably just going to go ahead and win. Exactly. And I don't think the Ravens are gonna lose a game to the Colts at home on a Monday night, where they're probably gonna wear their black jerseys. Lamar's and the Colts' run defense is bad. You're talking about a historically good Ravens team in terms of running the football, right? You're talking about that. There's no way the Colts win this game. Absolutely not. I mean, I think it's going to be close based on what the Colts have done so far this season. I think the Ravens probably win this game like 30 to 26 or something like that. But man, it's not going to be like it's hard for the Ravens to win. They'll have the ball and they'll go to victory formation with a few seconds left. It's probably going to be what happens. It's going to be a good game, but the Ravens will probably have the lead for the majority of the night. Right, and then the Colts might have one last shot to go get it, but they ain't going to be able to get it at the end. Carson will probably throw an interception to seal the deal or something, Or they'll fumble it, or they'll do something else that screws it up for them. That's just who they are. That's just what their identity is this year. It sucks to be a Colts fan if that's the case, but a lot of teams are just going to be able to beat them because they're making too many mistakes. Anyway, that's my picks for this week. See, the best games this week, if I had to pick, Bengals-Packers has the possibility of being good. The Broncos and Steelers should probably be good. I actually think Dolphins and Buccaneers is going to be good. Titans, Jags, Eagles, Panthers should be good. Saints, Washington should be good. Browns and Chargers should be good. There's the Bills and the Bills and Chiefs game has the potential of being the best game this week. And then the Cardinals and Niners game should be good. Yeah, there are a lot of good games this week. And the Ravens and Colts game should probably be good. I expect the Ravens to win, but I think it's still going to end up being a good game. We'll see what happens. Remember, I'm 39-32 on this season, so I'd like to continue doing well there. And I'll see y'all next week. Next week is week 6. I've never missed a week 6 video, so I don't plan on doing that here either, so it's definitely not gonna happen. Week 6 is my favorite week in the NFL. Whew, shee. It's week 5 right now, so we're one week away from getting there. Peace out.